And my boy Rigondeaux, man, I'm always happy to be on the card with him, man. That's a master, man. That's a master. Uh, Nothing but respect to Rigondeaux. And the fact that they don't understand you, my brother, that's not your fault. The fact that you don't get the respect you deserve, that's not your fault. That's got more to do with them and less to do with you. So I'm watching your videos. So respect, my brother.
Guillermo Rigondeaux was born on September 30th, 1980, in the town of Santiago de Cuba, Cuba. He has trained with a few people, including Freddie Roach, Alejandro Torre, and Ronnie Shields. These trainers are respected, but Freddie Roach stands apart, making 36 world champions through his career. Rigondeaux fought in the super bantamweight and super featherweight classes and held titles in both. He has a professional career of 23 fights, 20 wins, 13 of those by knockout, and only 2 losses and 1 no contest through his career so far. This is a 65% knockout to win ratio. He's also a 2-time Olympic medalist, winning gold in 2000 and 2004. As mentioned, Guillermo is from Cuba, where professional boxing has been illegal since 1961. He needed to defect from the country to turn pro, which is not an easy thing to do. This is why he turned pro so late and why his professional career numbers seem low compared to other great fighters. As an amateur, he had an incredible record of 475 fights with 12 losses. This is one of the greatest amateur careers in history, and it needs an entire video on its own. Standing southpaw, his style is almost pure counterpuncher, relying on great defense, impeccable timing and footwork, and blistering hand speed to take out his opponents. His style is even more unique than the typical counterpuncher, though, throwing slow-moving punches towards his opponents to draw them in, almost taunting them, which leaves him vulnerable and open to his opponent's shots. But once they do attack, Rigondeaux uses his footwork and timing to counterattack them almost simultaneously. This is typically extremely dangerous, as one false move could mean the end of the fight for Rigondeaux. But his talent and reaction time are so good he does this almost flawlessly. Dubbed the Jackal, his pro debut was on May 22nd, 2009, fighting 4 times total that year, which is around a fight every 2 months or so, and winning 3 out of the 4 of those fights by knockout or technical knockout. He'd also secure the NABA Super Bantamweight title during this time, beating Giovanni Andrade on September 18th. He'd have a few more bouts before fighting Ricardo Cordoba on February 5th, 2010 for the interim WBA Super Bantamweight title. The fight went the distance and Rigondeaux won by split decision. An interim title is not the same as a championship title. The only reason a fighter gets an interim title is when the current champion cannot fight due to injury or legal issues. So the next 2 best ranked fighters in that class fight each other. Whoever wins this bout gets the interim title in a mandatory fight against the current champion once they do return. He'd defend his interim WBA title for the first time against Willie Casey on March 19th, 2011, winning by a first-round technical knockout. The current champ of the super bantamweight class, Rico Ramos, returned and was challenged by Rigondeaux for the WBA world title on January 20th, 2012. Rigondeaux would win this fight with a body shot knockout, making him the true champion of the weight class. On April 13th, 2013, Rigondeaux would face Nonito Donaire, who is currently ranked the 5th best pound-for-pound fighter in the world. This fight was for multiple titles. The winner would get the WBA, WBO, Boxing Magazine's The Ring title, and become lineal champion. The lineal champion means the fighter beat the guy who beat the guy, going all the way back to the creation of the title. You cannot win this outside the ring, and holding all titles in your weight class or being undisputed champion does not necessarily mean you're lineal champion. He'd have 3 title defenses before fighting Drian Francisco for the vacant WBC International Silver title, winning by decision on November 13th, 2015. There'd be 2 more fights before Rigondeaux moved up to super featherweight to face one of the most technical fighters ever in Vasily Lomachenko. Lomachenko was so good he made his previous 3 opponents quit in their corner, and he'd do it a 4th consecutive time against Rigondeaux. This fight took place on December 9th, 2017, marking the first time Rigondeaux had lost since 2003. Rigondeaux was also 37 by this point. He'd be inactive for a few years before beating journeyman Giovanni Delgado by first-round knockout. After this fight, he'd move back down to super bantamweight and have a few more fights before moving up a weight class to bantamweight, with his most recent fight being on August 14th, 2021, incredibly at the age of 41. His opponent was 10 years younger than him, and he'd lose this fight by decision. He is still currently fighting and is set to face Vincent Astrolabio on February 26, 2022. He has 2 sons, Niash, which is his youngest, and who is with him here in the United States, and Guillermo Jr., who currently resides in Cuba. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great day.